How's it going? Welcome to the vlog. It's now Monday, 12 p.m. UK time. London is well and truly finished. Actually closer to New York session than London. Nothing taken for me this morning, nothing set up. If we jump into the charts, I'll just show you what I'm looking at. So if we start off with EU, we can see we've got the 4-hour chart. And after we broke to the downside, we can see we are clearly printing lower lows and lower highs. This nice manipulation effect here went and broke this very prominent structural low. So I am anticipating further shorts, but not until we've had some sort of a pullback. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for premium, not necessarily. We don't use premium as a set rule with the power of 2 anymore, but what we use instead is our time frame alignment. So for the 15 minute to be bearish as well, if it's in a premium of the 4-hour range, it's X higher probability, but we don't necessarily need it. In a trending market, to the downside, what you'll find is most of the opportunity short will happen in discount. When in a trending market to the upside, most of the continuations you'll find is in premium. So you will be missing out on opportunities like that. But what we can see this morning, we had a sweep here way before London and nothing's happened. So there was no opportunities anywhere there. Although 15 minute, you can see my red boxes is still bearish. We only breached this bearish range box by 1 and we need 2 to confirm a shift, which looks like price will be doing. So if price will breach this high like this, then I will have a second bullish 15 minute range, which means I don't have time frame alignment. So my 15 minute and my 4-hour will not be aligned. So I won't be looking for sells. All that means is that it'd likely be a no trade day. We'll see what happens in terms of what's going on with the fundamentals at the moment. But what we'll see is simply a continuation, likely to the upside overnight. Might get some kind of consolidation during Asia, which we tend to, and then some kind of mitigation of this POI, which is essentially the origin of where this 4-hour move came from. And if I move my screen over, what I'll be waiting for, which is this simplest way of explaining it, is that final bullish range to be breached once, twice, 15-minute liquidity sweep, and then a 3-to-1 to the downside. But so what I mean by that is we can see we'll have a bullish range. We'd have another bullish range here that would break out to the upside, another bullish range. And then the final bullish range would be here. In order for me to look for sells, I want the 15 minute to turn bearish. The 4-hour would still be bearish because you can see the 4-hour high is up here. So we'd still be well within that 4-hour range. So what I would want is one break, all I would need is one break and then 2 breaks and then a liquidation event here. This would be my entry. So I'd be looking for something like that. So we may be a fair bit off from this happening. This is the beauty of the power of 2. If you're working or doing other things like I am, we don't have to be staring at the charts. I mean, this is very, very likely, if I zoom in, to take this 15-minute high. Just look how close it is to the high here. It's very unlikely just to reverse here and push to the downside. It could do, but in my experience, the way that price is looking, it's looking for more liquidity. So we're going to see a push higher, but looking back on the 4-hour, we are heavily bearish. You don't really want to be buying this. It's like catching a falling knife. And even if you wanted to look at the daily, we can see using range boxes on the daily, we've had a push lower. So we are producing lower lows and lower highs in the daily and the 4-hour. You can see that very, very clearly. Let's have a quick look at the S&P, which is also bearish. So we can see we had break 1 to the downside, final bullish range here early April. We had a shift to the downside confirmed after CPI. And then we had a manipulation event with these 4-hour liquidities. We had more candles here, news-induced candles, and then another significant break to the downside. So looking at the same thing, if we look at the daily, we're below the moving average, which is what I look at on indexes, just a nice gauge because they are heavily trending bullish markets overall. So to see a shift on the daily to the downside, I'm going to want an extra confluence. and candles are closing below and producing lower lows. You can see that 4 hour is very clean. So does it have to come into premium? No, it doesn't. And actually we're still contained within this 15-minute bearish range. Even if if you wanted to have this one down here, you could, and then essentially you'd be bullish on that. But this is the difference between one trader and another trader. I'm more happy because the daily and the 4 hour are very bearish for me on the S&P. I'm very, very happy to take sells if we take liquidity. Even if we take this range high, for me would be a real significant area. So we're looking at something like this, and I would play that short 1 to 2 in and out. We'll see what happens. There was a nice trade on Friday. I completely missed it. It was an absolute valid power of 2 trade. We can see here Asia highs, very, very clean buy side liquidity. We had a liquidation event just before kill zone, and the retrace used would have been this one, so a couple of candles later. So the interesting thing here, in case you didn't know, the sweep candle doesn't have to be the entry candle, and the entry candle doesn't have to be the sweep candle. It can be both, but it doesn't have to. The sweep can happen before kill zone, and the entry must be a retrace inside. So it would have been this one with our minimum 10-point stop loss, and you can see a 2 to 1 very easily achieved. I was actually waiting for New York to pull back and take the highs, something like this, and of course it just didn't happen, and I missed the short in the morning. Just wasn't fully switched on, and that happens, right? We can't catch them all. But I'm 4 hour up for the month, both trades on S&P, both 2 Rs. I haven't taken anything on EU this month. We're now the 15th. And we'll see what happens later on this afternoon or tomorrow. I'll keep you updated. What's going on? Decided to do something I've not done for a long time and go out for a run. So now that I've got the gym set up at home, no excuse but to exercise, look after my health, but I need to warm up. It's freezing cold today, so I'm gonna go out for a run to warm up. Probably take me about 15-20 minutes, so I won't be able to do much more than that. And then I'll have a quick workout in the home gym before New York sets up. So catch you in a bit. Right, New York session. Let's have a look. We've had a bit of news today. We had retail sales. So again, coming back to EU 4 hour, not much has changed. We're still due that pullback, and we can see news basically just manipulated some lows. So we could easily see this push to the upside. And from a technical standpoint, we can have a look and see. Remember when I talked about ranges? 2 ranges to either direction confirms a trend. So although this second one was not very convincing at all, we can see nonetheless, we still went from continuous red bearish ranges to 2 bullish ranges. News just manipulates, that's what it likes to do. And what we can see here is we've had one breach of the low, which for us in terms of our technical edge with the power of 2, as it currently stands, is potentially just a liquidity sweep. So it's taken out all of this sell side liquidity, and by the looks of it, it's going to continue higher, which is going to do what? It's just going to print yet another bullish range like this. So we'll see what happens. I haven't taken any trades. We had that sweep this morning for shorts, but that was a retrace at around 7:30 close. So for me, it's too early. I don't execute until 8 a.m. And we've had nothing in between. Plus, I don't trade retail sales, and neither should you. So that's EU. Let's have a look at the S&P. Well, we have liquidated the highs here. And the 2 scenarios we've got is whether you're going to be more aggressive with this range down here. If that was your, if this was your 2 bearish ranges, you'd already be bullish in terms of your 15 minutes. So you'd have one here, and you would have one here, and you'd be already in your 3rd bullish range from the news, which is just pushed higher, right? So you wouldn't be looking at taking sells here. If I come all the way back to if you are more flexible with your ranges like I was, you're simply waiting for a bearish candle close during New York, which we could get, and I'll be more than happy to take a sell, because if we look at the 4 hour, we are very bearish. Now, we've taken 4 hour liquidity twice last week, so I'm not really anticipating this 4 hour high to go, this one here. I don't see it as needing to go. Although you can see on the DAX, that's exactly what's happened. My alert's been hit on that. But if we come back to the S&P, we can see we're edging into the EQ of this 4-hour range. I did say that we don't use premium and discount as a confluence now with the power of 2, because when you're in a trending market, you can miss out on trades by waiting for premium and discount. But being in a premium of a bearish range does give higher probability for sells playing out, of course. So we'll see what happens here. If this just keeps pushing higher and doesn't produce bearish candles and we hit the end of the New York kill zone, then I'm just still sat on my hands waiting. That's the beauty of the strategy. I've done multiple things. I've gone out for a run, I've had a workout, I've had lunch, I've had multiple meetings, and I've not been sat out the charts. I've been in Discord talking to other traders. I've had an interview with a trader today, which lasted almost an hour. I've done the exact opposite of staring at the charts. I set alerts and I walked off. And knowing that the news is around the corner means you know exactly when to stay out of the charts completely. And I know now that the S&P for shorts is something that I'm eyeing up. Got 7, nearly 8 minutes left for this candle, but I'm going to wait for a bearish candle close on this before I execute any orders. I'm not trading the DAX or gold at the minute myself, but I'm just looking at them from an observation point of view. I'm looking to add them onto my watch list as they are very trending assets. I did have an alert on this high here. It's been taken, so let me just remove that. So similar to the S&P, it's a bearish market. We had break 1, then break 2, and it continuously broke lower and lower and lower. What's different with the S&P, in the last couple of weeks, we've not taken any 4-hour liquidity, whereas now it has. It's taken it once here, and it's taken it again today. So this is the most recent. We could see this inducing buyers. If we go down to a 15-minute, what I will need, however, is a shift bearish. But on a 4-hour liquidity sweep, I no longer need 2 ranges to confirm a shift. I can take 1. So let's see what happens here. What we could get is a little pullback, a little bit of a push higher, little to no follow through, a break lower, and then wait for that 15-minute liquidity sweep, which could be London tomorrow, to take that short. So we'll see what happens. It's unlikely to happen today by the looks of it. But again, I'm just paper trading that for now. I'm only focusing on EU and the S&P. We'll see what happens. EU, I predict going higher slightly, and the S&P could be looking for shorts. If we don't get that retrace before the end of New York, I'll be sitting on my hands waiting. It could come and take the highs. Guess what? If on the 4-hour, the S&P takes this 4-hour high, then we could be looking for buys heading into the rest of the week. Let's just see what happens. It is a bullish index overall. This could be a short-term move to the downside after taking some daily internal liquidity. If we look over here, we have taken some daily liquidity here, which has really not allowed price to follow through to the downside. But we'll see what happens, and I'll probably catch up with you tomorrow. That's the S&P short done. And that's not a news candle. This is what I like about indices, that it moves quick without needing news. With Forex, you find that the volatility that you're looking for, you can't trade it because it's always in the news, but this is just volatility in its finest. Exactly what I said earlier. I was waiting for that retrace candle, which we got. If I zoom in, sorry about the quality, I'm recording from my phone. 10-point stop loss. This was a market execution actually, because I was tied up doing other things and then switched across a few minutes late. So I was quite lucky, I could have missed this. So yeah, TP hit on that, 2-to-1. Yeah, you can target the lows, but what happens if you ignore the profits when it's running like a 2-to-1, or even a 3-to-1 is fine, and then price reverts and you take a loss or a break even. So that's the trade I explained earlier that I missed on Friday, but this one takes me to 3 trades, all on the S&P, all 2-to-1, 6 off for the month. Pretty decent. Could even call it day for the month and be happy with that. But yeah, that was pretty good. I'll catch you in the morning. Peace. Tuesday morning, and as you can see on the screen, US 500 short yesterday as predicted in the morning. It occurred, it played out, I executed, and it hit TP. Actually continued much further, but I have a strict 2 to 1. If I just flick over to the S&P, we can see what was I talking about on the 4 hour yesterday? The fact that we're printing lower lows and lower highs. So why would you want to fight that trend? What's the second thing I said? I said the second thing is that the 4 hours taken liquidity very recently, actually only took it last week, so it's unlikely to want to come and take more liquidity and take these highs today. It was more likely a continuation, wait for 15 minutes to align and continue to the downside. We jump to the 15 minute, what did the 15 minute say? Although you could have been more aggressive and had a bearish range down here, and therefore you would have been short-term bullish. This is the flexibility that the power of 2 now gives. It's not 100% rigid, where you're either tied to a trade you don't want to take, but it fits the rules, or you can't take a trade you want to take because the rules invalidate it. The mechanical side is from daily 4 hour, and it gets more and more discretionary close to the entry, but it's very little discretion. We're literally talking about choosing a more aggressive range or a more flexible range, and I chose a more flexible range because of the factors that we're talking about on the daily and the 4 hour, because of the fact that I was so confident that S&P was going to continue lower, because of the fact that I was confident the 4 hour didn't need to take liquidity, and I was confident that taking this range high and waiting for news to pass, which it did, that price was going to push lower and take out these 4 hour lows, and that's exactly what we got. Now, it wasn't a picture perfect fill. I ended up market executing this position, which is not something I normally do, but with indices, you do tend to get faster price movements and extra volatility compared to your FX pairs. So by the time we had that retrace candle closed, that first bearish candle in there, that doji, the next candle was already below it. So me not having that ability to place a sell stop order, calculate my lot sizes, open up MT4, MT5 even, because I'm not trading with Tradelocker on this, unfortunately, I had to market execute, which is fine because I can still get a stop loss with a 10 point, and that covers just about that liquidity pool to the left. So I do have some added protection, and that 2 to 1 was very, very achievable. In fact, to the low, you're looking like 5.7. So there was more than enough room to get in and out with that 2 to 1. Happy with that. That's 3 trades for me for April. All of them are S&P. They're all 2 to 1s. I'm not taking any losing trades so far in April. I'm not taking a single thing on EU or any other asset class or pair. The S&P is provided me with a 6 to 1 so far. So that's all 1.2 for Feb, a 6.4 for March, and so far a 6R for April. So it's been a good year so far. Good year. And we only just got started with the indices. So what we're looking at now, just a continuation basically. If I drop back to the 4 hour, you can see I've not analysed this since yesterday, so you'll get to see me doing this. We've got a high and a low. That's my 4 hour dealing range. Are we still bearish? Of course we are. We're printing lower lows and lower highs. The thing to think about here is, do we want to be selling really low down in this move, or is it going to be a repeat of yesterday and seeing some kind of pullback after that break of structure? So are we going to see a pullback after a break of structure and continuation to the downside? Potentially. The further we move into this, the more likely the 4 hour is going to want to take liquidity. So it is possible that it either may want to take these highs and continue, or it may create a new high later on today and New York might take that before heading lower. So we will see what happens with that. Let's move over to EU and just see what's happening. There was quite a few in Evolution that caught a short yesterday. You can see my highs and lows printed on here from yesterday's vlog. Our 4 hour dealing range was here. We're bearish, just like the S&P. So shorts were the only thing that made sense. I wouldn't be buying this. I did say that yesterday. Now, this was our bearish range, which was taken. And where we are now, we can have a look. We've got a bearish range here overnight. And then you can see Asia session here in purple, which the lows have just been taken. Let me jump back out to the 4 hour and just adjust a 4 hour range, because we have a new high here and a new low here. This is my 4 hour. Keeping it super simple, rein this previous range in. back to the 15 minute. Now the shorts that played out yesterday were not valid for me personally because I don't execute trades earlier than 8 a.m. But it was based on the sweep of this range high here. And then you've got this retrace candle, this bearish retrace candle in here. So there were quite a few in the evolution markets community that took this short, got in with around a 12 to 15 pip stop loss, there or thereabouts. We have a 10 as a minimum, and then this would have been a 3 to 1 just below the 4-hour lows, which would have been an overnight hold. In fact, no, it would have been quite a late in the evening TP. So that was nice to see. Even if I didn't execute it myself, that's absolutely fine. You can't take them all. Now, what have we got here? And this is 8:23 a.m. This is prime London kill zone right now. So I'm actually looking for executions. Do I want to be taking continuations right at the very bottom like this? No, because we can see Asia lows have been taken, but no momentum. It's just wicked it and then right back in again. So this tells me price wants to seek out more liquidity. So this range high would be better to take sells. We'll see what happens. I will probably set an alert on this. So let's have a look. Drag a line on here, 15-minute liquidity, right click, set an alert. And it doesn't mean I'm going to execute a position on this. It just means this is an area of interest for me. Hence the alert. It means I can go off and do other things. I can spend time in Discord answering questions in the community. I can have a look at my diary and see if I've got any meetings today and do whatever else I want to do, right? I've actually got to take the son to school this morning, so if this tags in the next 30 minutes, I may actually miss the entry, and that's the life as a trader. You're not going to take them all. Sometimes you'll take more losers and you'll miss winners. Sometimes you'll miss some losers and take all the winners. It's a complete random outcome. Anyway, I'll catch up with you during New York, and have an incredible day. So I've had a pretty busy afternoon. I've actually spent over an hour and a half recording content for the evolution community in terms of how we approach indices, S&P 500, the DAX, and further to come. Work through workflows, so it's keeping it as systemized and mechanical and step-by-step as possible, from a daily 4-hour, 15-minute right down to entry point. So those videos will be edited and on track for release in the community as promised this Friday. Looking forward to that. And 2 p.m. today, I'm actually in the Tradelocker Discord as a guest. So that's going to be quite fun. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how long it's going to be. It might be 35, 40 minutes or so. I'll be asked a load of questions about my backstory, what I do, what I've done, and just to see what happens in there. So I might have a bit of a snip in there. It depends when this video is released. It might be before or after. But yeah, that's going to be it for New York for me. Trading wise, I'm still waiting for US 500 shorts. We have taken the 15-minute Asia highs, so we'll see what happens. It's still only 12:30 UK time, so another 30 minutes until New York starts for me anyway. 2 p.m. in the Tradelocker Discord, and then that'll be it, calling it a day. We'll see what happens. So I'll catch you in a bit.
His name is Scott, and he's also from the UK. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk any more about him. I'm going to just invite him, and he can talk about himself. Yeah, we made it. Definitely.
Good to be here.
Thank you for coming.
You can hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for coming into this session. It's something that we've been doing it for quite a while, and you're probably one of the most followed people that ever came on the auditorium. So I saw
I appreciate that.
Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself before you started trading? Like, what is your background? Where did you work?
I came across Forex trading. Okay, so that's it. It's about 8 p.m. UK time on Tuesday. That'll be the end of the vlog. And it's been a good week. So we've had 2 shorts on the S&P, nothing on anything else. and 2 wins. Although the second one, very, very close, very lucky on the TP, and just goes to show exactly why I'd focus on a 1 to 2 rather than a 1 to 3 or above on the S&P, because it can be more volatile. But yeah, really, really nice trade. If we flick over to the screen, I'll just show you quickly the Discord here to the left. 10 a.m. this morning, I put my outlook in Discord like I do every day, and then as soon as I was tagged, it's right there, shorts in play. And then later on in the afternoon is where the students are taking the same trades as me. My update's in there, others taking the same trades. Some are still in, some are not so much, and we're all having a laugh about it. That's what it's all about, that community feel. And yeah, some really nice trades in the market following that 4-hour system. Heavily bearish, just like I mentioned this morning, and as I've been mentioning throughout this video the last couple of days. Those that are still watching right now, I appreciate you. So not many people watch till the very end. I see the stats. I just want to make sure that those that are watching this right now, please make sure you're subscribed. It means a lot. Make sure you click that 1 button and the notification bell as well to make sure you're notified. I'm going to be uploading every Tuesday and Thursday. So what I want you to do is to put a comment below what kind of content you would like to see from me. I've already got the next 2 weeks already recorded and it's in editing at the moment. But beyond that, I'd like to hear your views. I'd like to hear your feedback. What would you like to see? What do you enjoy from the content that I'm already creating and putting out there? And what would you like to see more of? So thanks again. I appreciate you. Have an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one.